Welcome back to Shall You Proceed. I am so happy to be back listening and looking at all your beautiful faces, even though I really can't see you, right? So, as you know, this show is based on relationships, society and culture, health and wellness, and just bettering ourselves and recognizing who we are and what we do and all those wonderful things. So today I wanted to bring a show that is near and dear to my heart with someone that I totally respect and I've grown to love dearly. And we're going to cover grief and trauma and surviving those two things. I want to welcome to the show the beautiful, the amazing, so talented Sabrina Martin. Hi,
Hi.
Sabrina. Thank you so much for coming on. And actually, I was actually really honored and surprised that you wanted to be on the show. And I'm like, really, Sabrina, you want to be on the show? You want to be on the show? And because, I mean, we get along so far great, but I know that, you know, I'm a little different. You know what I mean? I'm not. Yeah, I'm a little different. You know, the energy's a little different. And, you know, you read inspirational fiction. I read horror and sci-fi and gruesome things. But I was really honored that you wanted to be on my show. So I was like, you know what? I don't know what we want to talk about, but I want to be gentle with Sabrina and not take her too quickly and too fast. So welcome to Shall You Proceed? And before we go any further, and I need to quit rambling, tell everyone who you are, a little bit about you.
Well, thank you for having me, Arlene. This is something that I have never done before, so I appreciate you accepting my offer and letting me talk with you tonight. My name is Sabrina Martin. We know each other from work. I feel like you think I'm fragile, that I'm really breakable, and you're afraid you're going to break me, but don't worry, I can take it. We'll be okay. But no, I'm just super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, that's simple. That's easy. Not that you're fragile. It's just that I know we're just totally different in personalities, but yet really the same on some things. And yes, we know each other from work. You know, we work at the best place on earth, and
Absolutely.
I totally enjoy you. And we've been working really well together lately on just engaging the community and starting conversations. So it's kind of, I guess, interesting that we're going to do this together and have a real intimate conversation on something we both experience in different ways, grief and trauma. And I say surviving it because we have so far. And, you know, like conversations, so you can ask me anything in the world and I'll ask you anything in the world. You gave me liberty.
I did. I did say yes.
You gave me liberty. But I want to say, though, when it comes to grief and trauma, I am a big advocate on allowing people to do it in their own way. It really bothers me when, you know, because it bothers me when people try to tell you, oh, you'll be okay. You'll be fine. You'll heal once time passes. And you know all the sayings that you get.
Every one of them. Yeah.
All of them. For the first 3 weeks you get it. And then the same ones who say it to you disappear.
You know, that's what I was going to say next. It's always those first 3 weeks. You have those people, you're like, oh man, they think of me. They're here for me. We're going to get through this. And then, man, they're gone.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're like, oh, all right, cool. Never mind. I can't lean on you. Great. Yeah, it happens. It definitely happens. And you're right. We're surviving it. You know, we're still here. It's been a few years for both of us.
Yes. And we'll get into what grief we're speaking of. But for me, it'll be 6 years next week on the 16th.
Yeah.
And
I was like, mine's 6 years too. Last August 14th.
So it's
18th. Sorry, 18th.
Yeah. And mine's the 16th. So, you know, when we talk about grief and trauma, one thing about grief, they're totally different, but grief can cause your trauma and trauma can cause your grief. If we think about it like that, you know, with trauma, it tends to, and also with grief, it carries through your entire life. For me, life starts again. Like, okay, this is my birthday. So my new birthday is my mom's passing. So I gauge my life from that point on, because I will never be the same person prior to that situation. And trauma, there's always something in life that's going to trigger something. It's all about how you handle it and process it. So what I would love for you to share is tell everyone your story and your grief and your trauma, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm here for. So, like I said before, my grief started a little over 6 years ago on August 18th. My dad passed away in a shrimp boat accident that I and my younger brother was a part of as well. So, we were out on let me start over. My family has always been into commercial fishing. My dad's been a shrimper my whole life, or was a shrimper my whole life. And I worked on the boat starting when I was 14 every summer in our big net season. And then on the weekends when he needed me here and there, that sort of thing, all the way up until the summer of the accident. So we had a water tornado, or water spout, as we call them on the water, overturn our 41-foot shrimp boat. And my dad passed away trying to get out, trying to get us all out. I was trapped in the boat. My brother got out, as well as our deckhand. And so I was trapped in the shrimp boat for about 4 hours. When it was submerged, I ended up in the bilge pump, or the bilge pump area. So by the grace of God, I'm here today. So my grief comes with also a lot of trauma. Like, there was a lot of trauma surrounding our dad's passing. So, so yeah, a little bit about that. I was rescued by the Coast Guard 4 hours after the accident. I had carbon monoxide poisoning. I had 18% carbon monoxide in my blood. And my brother had to have stitches from where he busted out of a window with his fist. So he was, in the hospital for a little while. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that attributed to the trauma, as well as to the grief later on, because my grief was very much intertwined with my trauma, both mentally and physically. Like, my body was overcoming a lot of distress. So, yeah, I don't know how much further you want me to go yet.
Oh, it's all up to you, but I don't think anyone's realizing how young you are. You're only just made 26,
Say it
right?
again?
You just made 26 last week.
Yes, I did. So I was 19 when the boat accident happened. Yeah.
And that's
Which
young.
Yes, I was just finished my freshman year of college. My brother was 13. So we were out working on the boat together that day. And but like you said earlier too, I also refer to my dad's passing in the boat accident as a before and after. There's a before the accident family, and there's a after the accident family. And my siblings, I have two younger sisters as well. And my mom, she's still with us. So we all refer to it as two different time frames in our life, and they're very different. You don't get them confused.
You don't, right? It's totally, it's the dynamic of who I am, who I was changed, and the family dynamic changed. We always knew it, but my mom was like the real glue, like a true matriarch. Everything surrounded around her. The laughter, the connection, the the squashing of arguments, like, okay, because she'll be mad, like, we can't, we can't drag this on, or we didn't want to hurt her because we're acting all ridiculous and being mad at each other. It all surrounded around her. And when she left, it felt different. You know what I mean? It was a different feel. And for me, my I don't give a damn amplified. Like, and for me, it was, I don't have to. like the one who held me accountable is not here. So if I don't want to talk to you, I'm not going to talk to you, you know, even though we never got to that point really. It was just the fact of, we knew we're all very similar, my siblings and myself and my dad is still with us. We're all very similar, where we can go a very long time and not communicate and love really well from a distance, but we have to make a conscious effort to not do that because she wouldn't want that. So it's like, listen, just because she's not here, we have to try to keep that connection. And we try really hard to do that. But yeah, absolutely. The dynamic of the family has totally changed.
And it's funny you say that, because my family is the direct opposite. I wouldn't say that my dad was the glue, but
Mhm.
we were already a really tight family before the accident. And so to have something so traumatic happen to all of us and so unexpected in something that we all love so dearly, shrimping,
Right.
that had provided for us. My mom was a stay-at-home mom until I was in middle school. So my dad, passed away doing the very thing that he had raised all of us kids on, So I felt when my dad passed away that I had to do it all. I had to make those
Mm.
relationships. I was a little opposite of you. I had to make sure that, people didn't get forgotten. We talked to those family members that, we don't see very often, just sticking it together. We're going to get through this. And I was it took me a long time to realize that I didn't have to keep everyone together, that's part of life, the whole growing apart. My siblings and my mom and I are all still very close, but as far as anyone else past that, you know, I stopped assuming responsibility for everything.
And see, my sister was you. My sister was you. She
Mm.
tried to, I guess, take on the role of what, our mom was. My mom was that person, she walks into a room, you just want to love on her. I don't know what mojo was happening. Like, she can get anyone to do anything. Men loved her. Like, oh, your mom is so blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whatever, you know. And people just loved her because she was, and this is not because she's my mom. It's like she gave the best advice, and
Mm.
when she loved you, she loved you, so you became her child. Like, she had buku extended kids that I'm like, what about me? I'm your youngest. Don't what about this kid, And Terry tried to become that, to where we had to tell her one day, hey, stop. It's
Yeah.
just, and what I noticed with grief is my brothers and I are very similar in, I'm the youngest of four, and there's a big age gap amongst all of us. But my brothers and I, we're similar in allowing each other to grieve how we see fit. We're not
Mm.
one to force ourselves on each other. I can call any one of them like, hey, I love you. What you doing? You good? Okay, bam, bye. Or, whatever. But my sister tried to um, place on us how she wanted to grieve and memorialize our mom. And we went with it for about 2 years. And after that, one of my brothers was like, okay, hey, listen,
Mm-hmm.
I tell her I can't. And it wasn't like a negative. It was almost like, we've 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 done this for you for long enough. We need to do it
Mm-hmm.
how we want to do it. So have you
Yeah.
ever experienced that, where you have a sibling or someone in your family trying to push upon you how you're supposed to grieve? Or we should all grieve the same?
You know, um, my family, we are so individualized that we were really like, okay, do what you need to do type thing. Except I wouldn't say it was anyone immediate family. I know the distant family. They ran their mouths. I know they did about the way we grieved. And so I made some, passive aggressive remarks along the way about how we are who we are, we do what we do, we handle it how we handle it. And I would say that for the most part, they just talked about us to other people. Not very many people actually addressed us,
Mhm.
directly, like, oh, y'all are grieving wrong. I had one person shortly after the accident. My phone was lost in the accident. So I was, catching up, like telling everyone I was alive and okay via Facebook Messenger in the days after, until someone very kindly bought me a new phone. And someone from high school reached out and was like, "How are you acting this way? Like you shouldn't be okay. Like you should be devastated. Like your dad was the greatest person ever. Like how can you keep saying that, he's with Jesus or he's, like how can you keep talking that way?" And I was like, "How dare you tell me how I can talk?" And
Exactly.
I got so defensive, and it was way too late at night to be being that defensive, but I was, "How dare you talk to me that way? How dare you tell me how I can be grieving or even acting right now? Like, my dad just died. I was hospitalized. Like, my mom got to the hospital and thought my dad was alive. How do you
Yeah.
tell your mom, like, no, the news was wrong. Like, dad, we can't find dad, So how
Yeah.
dare you come into my life and tell me that I'm not handling a situation that I did not ask for the wrong way?" So I'm still a little feisty about that 6 years
I
later. I
I
can tell.
feel it. I can tell. What we got a lot of was because for me, you were there, so you saw your dad. I found my mom. And so
I hold on before you go further. I
yeah,
did not find my dad. My
okay.
dad was actually lost at sea
Okay.
for a whole 24 hours. So
Oh,
I never saw my dad from the point of the boat's capsizing, grab a window, try and get out, to the boat rolled the second time and my dad didn't
mm.
come back up.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, we had to have close pass, but I never got to see him again. But
Right.
I know your situation's really different.
It
So
is because so okay.
you're good, girl.
So I found her.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about my mom, you can ask anyone, anywhere I've ever worked was not really many places. My mom will call me throughout the day. And so people knew, I'd be like, "Hey, mommy." All right. Cause I say mommy, like, "Hey, okay, whatever." Real quick, she'll check on me or bring me some ice cream or bring me some cake or what you doing? Or I'll check on her throughout the whole entire day.
Mm-hmm.
And every morning she would watch me get ready sometimes and hug and kiss me. And so that day for me, I left work late, pilling around, and I had spoken to
Mm-hmm.
her like around 2:00, 2:30. She's like, "Hey, I'm gonna cook." I'm like, "What? You cooking?" Because she hadn't cooked in so long because our parents get older, they don't want to do that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was cooking for her. Like, I'm like, "Am I your wife? What's going on?" Are you when I come I said, I need to make sure when I come home, the house clean. We had those little jokes. So when I came home, I just ran in the house. And what I regret the most that day was when I left, I didn't give her a kiss goodbye like I usually do.
Mm.
I was rushing, "Women, I'll see you later,"
Yeah.
And so when I came home, I ran in the house on my phone because I'm stupid. And I used to say, "Hey, woman," whatever. And I ran in the
Yeah.
house I'm telling you, I thought I heard something. I'm like, did I hear something? And I'm looking, she didn't respond back. And I'm like, I know she's home because she'll tell me, but she'll run away. She may go to the casino sometime. I
Mm.
don't know. And
Yeah.
so I go in the bathroom and she's laying on the floor.
Mm.
And I didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Like, and so I'm laying there and I'm holding her
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, it's not connecting to me what's happening because she took all her jewelry off, which she never did. Glasses were
Mm.
off, which she never did. My mom slept with her glasses on. Crazy person.
Really?
Slept with her glasses on. Jewelry was off. Everything was sitting on the sink. So either she felt something happening, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so what happened was, I think someone called. It was a family friend. I said, "I need you to call 911 because I can't. Like I can't." And they came. And what upset me the most was Harris County has one coroner.
Mm. Okay.
And this happened on a Thursday. 5:45, she was pronounced dead. And since she was home by herself, they would not allow me back in the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
So the police had to
Okay.
come
Oh,
and do a
no, and they set it up. Oh gosh. Okay.
so my mom's laying there, so I said, "Can I at least can I cover her up?"
Yeah.
I mean, and they're like, and to me, like, did you try hard enough? Is anything faint? What's going on? And so I leave the bathroom and I'm like, I want to stay here. I couldn't. Were you home? No. So they have to investigate as if it's foul play. And they knew it wasn't, but they had to.
Right.
So you have all Baytown PD get here.
Mhm.
The ambulance was here. They wouldn't let me back into that part of the house at all. So the
Right.
cop is standing in the hallway, like guarding the hallway. And I'm thinking to myself,
Wow.
and I'm like, I'm furious.
Naturally. I mean, who wouldn't be?
I'm furious. And so the coroner didn't show up until 1 a.m.
Oh my God, Arlene. Y'all had to wait
So
that long
yeah,
of
so
just waiting.
my brother's working in Iraq. My
Mm.
dad's in California. My sister had just left because her job sent her to Gonzales, Louisiana to set up a site. My other brother's in Ohio.
So no one's close.
And my friends who I've known forever, one's in Shreveport, one was at the time in Dallas, two were out here. And I'm like, so me being who I am, I had to get into who do I contact? And I'm like, I'm only contacting who's important. So
Right.
I call my dad. I had to call the emergency number to get my brother on the phone. I had to tell them, look, his mom just died. He needs to get home.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to call my brother. And I called someone at work. I called Celia at work. And that was it.
Yeah.
And some people, my friends came and they stayed with me the whole entire time. A family friend's son came, stayed the whole time. I had to call, I called my cousin's ex-wife at the time. They were married at the time. I had to call him because him and my cousin and my mom were close. He called my mom every day. Like that was his mom every day. So I called her. I said, hey, I need you to call my cousin. And you can't make sure he comes home when you tell him.
Mm-hmm.
He works at the sheriff's department. I said, you can't. And she's like, what happened? I told her. I said, but you can't tell him while he's, and I'm just sitting here waiting, pissed because I can't go back in. She's laying there. I'm like, can I cover her up? What can I do? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't let me do anything.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in the living room, like aggravated. So my sister, who's in Louisiana, we had to call her and her fiance at the time. So now she's driving back from the Gonzales by herself, hysterical.
Yeah.
And so now the worry shifts to, will she drive here and make it safe?
Right. Because Gonzales isn't close. It's
past New Orleans, So I'm like, so that was what my experience was. And so I'm laying here, and when they finally came and got her, and they brought her out, and I looked at her for the last time. Well, not the last time. I got her dressed for her services. I dressed her and did everything for that. But it was surreal.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point on, my life, that Erlene died, and a whole new Erlene, like, you know what I mean? And it was hard because then you have, the ones who come around, they bring you, the house is full of food now.
Yeah. So much food.
So much food. So much coffee.
Yeah.
And my dad, oh my God. And my dad's in California. And so I called him, and he's getting here, as soon as he can. Donna, he's getting here. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. And remembering, she already had a plan set for herself. Like, listen, when I die, woman, don't bury me. I don't want to be in the ground with worms, cremate me. I don't want that. So, you're thinking of these things. You don't know how quickly you have to get everything done. Right. And so I'm laying here, and I just made, I made one Facebook post because it was just too much. It was just too much.
Yeah.
So I made a face, and I was done. Like, I'm done answering questions. I'm done. whoever needs to know, they'll read in the paper. I didn't know who to call. Like I called the important people. Whoever needed to know, my siblings, family, that's it. I'm done. Everyone else, I'm sorry.
Yeah. My situation was so different, but I have those same feelings of being angry. Little different reasons, but being
Yeah.
angry. I mean, I was interrogated by the Coast Guard, asked if I
Mm.
hurt my dad, if I intentionally capsized the boat, if I was involved in anything illegal, were we smuggling? I mean, how do
Yeah.
you even have conversations like that when you're
Oh,
like, I did it. We weren't. We were in the cabin. Are you sure you weren't in the engine room? Are you sure you weren't fighting? Am I blast right here? Like, what do you want me to say? Like, we were literally, everything was fine. And then the next second it wasn't, you know?
right.
But those feelings of, I can't talk to anyone else. I don't know who else to contact. Mine was so different because we made national news. So
Yeah.
my family watched it. They literally watched it as it was happening on the news, as choppers were searching for my dad, as they were trying to cut me out of the boat. My husband now sat with his dad in his living room and was like, I know her. She lives down the street. That's the girl I stand next to at the bus stop.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to have a lot of explaining, but I had a lot of justifying my my mental awareness, my emotions, my emotional response to the situation. But yeah, I never got that chance to see him again. And my husband, his dad passed away 4 months after mine, and he got to have a funeral casket and everything. And I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. I couldn't tell you, but sometimes I think about it, because the last thing I have is him coming up out of the water saying, "Here's the door. Come here. Here's the door," and then the boat rolling again. I never had a single other moment.
I'm sorry.
Sorry for you too.
Hey, let me tell you
It
something. It was, go ahead.
no, it's weird to say I'm sorry back and forth, because at some point everyone's going to know the same pain. And so the grief isn't the same. Everyone doesn't grieve the same way, but when bad things happen, I always feel like I don't understand exactly what you're feeling, but I know pain and I know what that can feel like, and I'm sorry that you're feeling it.
I know from, and I appreciate you, but I know from me, after that, I told myself a long time ago, I try not to use the word never, because when you live enough life, I'm older than you. When you live enough life, you realize that we're going to have experiences. So you can't do the whole "that'll never be me." You don't know. And I've been saying most of this year proves to you that you can't do the whole "that'll never be me," right?
You can't do those are my plans either, because
Yeah,
you don't know what 2020 is going to throw at
so
you.
yeah,
So
writing stuff down. You can have an idea. That sounds good. But for me, the only thing that I say now to people that I know who have lost a parent is, and I either send them a text, really simple. I don't push myself on people. I don't do the whole, people say, "What can I do for you?" Which, that doesn't bother me. People say you shouldn't say that. It's like, but some people, this is the thing when it comes to grief. When the person who's going through it, that's one thing, but the one who has to witness it, they don't know what to do. Everyone is different, and grief is uncomfortable. Grief is hard to navigate because you're not sure of the one who's grieving if they're going to be set off, if they even care. Let's be real. If they've realized it, if they're in shock, because how dare I push upon you my uncomfortable feeling of not knowing what to say to you or trying to tell you how you should feel, because yes, I was close to my mom, you was close to your dad. Everyone doesn't have that experience. So
Yep.
The love we have for our parents, everyone doesn't know that or understand that feeling. So I respect the ones who sit back and like, if you need me, let me know. I appreciate that. Hopefully it's true. If I need you, you'll come around. But
You won't be one of those 3 weeks and gone type of
right.
people.
I
Yeah.
appreciate someone who doesn't know what to say, because the
Mhm.
way I grieve is leave me alone.
Yep.
And I told a friend of mine, I said, because he lost his mom a few years ago. And I said to him, I said, all I'm going to say to you is this. You grieve however you see fit. If you want to go to the mountain and scream your fucking head off, you do that. If you want to curl on a ball and cry for 2 weeks, you do that. Whatever you need to do, and don't let anyone tell you how to do
Anything
it, when to
different.
do it, or how long you should do it. And I'm telling you right now, it will never go away.
It
It will
doesn't.
never be easy. It just gets further away from the date.
Further
That's
away, and it doesn't even numb. Like, people say it numbs over time, and I guess to a degree, but it just doesn't stop. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't
Mhm.
miss being around him or miss having the opportunity to just call him and be like, "Hey, I saw this and it made me think of you," or, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, you get a kick out of this. You'll never guess what happened at work today," you know? Um, but there's always going to be those little things that trigger the more emotional responses,
Mhm, mhm.
but the grief doesn't go away and the pain doesn't go away either.
No, and for me, I will say it's been hard for me to, enjoy the high points.
Why
Like,
so? What are you feeling?
um I must be PMSing. Anyway, uh, so emotional. For me, it is, uh, my mom, my cheerleader.
Mhm.
That was my road dog. Everywhere you saw her, you saw me. Like, for all my life though, because you know, people may not know this, and I've said it before. My oldest brother and I, we're 20 years apart in age.
Okay.
And then my other brother and I were 8 years apart. Then my sister and I were 7 years apart. And then here comes Erlene. Hello, how you doing?
Mhm.
And so, you had those two who grew up together really close, and they have their stories. And then my older brother had his time with my mom for a long period of time. And then I came along almost like an only child. So my mom and my dad always has worked away. So he's always in and out working, whatever. And so, blue collar life, construction, you go where the work is.
Mhm.
And so it was always my mom and I. So when I started driving, it was my mom and I. Everything I did was my mom and I. I took her everywhere she wanted to go. Even though she could drive, she was not disabled, she wasn't sick, she wasn't an invalid. It's just that I took her everywhere. Let's go to Louisiana. Let's, go to the store, whatever it was. And I dedicated a lot of my life to being my mom's companion.
BFF? Is that yeah.
Huh?
I
Yeah,
said BFF.
yeah. So, that was my girl. So, even though she drove me crazy up the wall, because you realize when someone's gone, the hold they have on your life, not intentional, but you realize how influential and how much of her is in all of us, and how much of our lives revolved around her. I think we've all felt that in our family. Like, we've all can say things are different that she's gone. Things have either
Mhm.
fallen apart because she's gone, because she would be the one to say, okay, now what are y'all doing? Let's talk about
Mhm.
things, whatever. But for me, it's just life's just different. It's totally, totally different. And she was my cheerleader. My mom came to all my band recitals, every sport I've played, from being a road runner in softball in elementary school, running track in the summertime in elementary school and junior high, going to school, high school, everything I've ever done, she's always been the face. You know, I'm in basketball, she jumps from the stands, come down, doesn't know the game, has no idea what's happening. But she's like the loudest person there. So so every accomplishment, a promotion, graduation from college, all of those things, it was her, because for me, it was like, I don't care who else is here. My mom coming.
Yeah.
And my mom was a seamstress, so I would be young beading stuff for her or cutting threads or just dealing with that kind of foolishness. So when she passed away, and life is like, life's still happening, and life is still excelling.
It doesn't stop. Yeah.
It doesn't stop. I would have things happen that everyone's like, "Oh, that's great." And I'm like, "Okay." And I may seem like I'm excited, but it's really hard for me to enjoy the moments. Till this day, it's really hard for me to enjoy those moments.
Did you ever talk to like a therapist or anything after everything happened?
Oh yeah,
I mean, you don't
not
have to
right
answer.
away though. Not right
Yeah,
away. Oh God.
I didn't either.
My best
It took
friend.
4.5 years for me.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 4 years. A friend of mine, one of my good friends, gave me a number and she's a great therapist. I mean, she's amazing. And she gave me the number. The number stayed in my phone, saved for years. Until one day, I don't know, what was I doing? I think I was saying something, and I said, "You know what? You're preaching some shit, and you're not practicing it right now, Arlene." So I went ahead and called and made the appointment, and I went and had those moments and had a good cry on the couch, and was not totally transparent. I'm going to be totally honest. I was not totally transparent. I did not fully open up. I think I flipped it and was, analyzing.
Did you play the therapist? Did you play the therapist? Is that what happened there?
I think I did. I did. Yeah. I did for a little bit, and then because for me, I did a lot of work beforehand on myself, and
I did too. I did a lot. I mean, therapy was my last choice. Oh, well, yeah. I guess medication was my last choice. Therapy was right there with it, though.
Yeah, I did a lot of work, and I recognized a lot of things about myself a long time ago, and I had already been coming into a different person beforehand, and so it was good to talk about things that it wasn't even about her that they helped me with, really. It was other parts of my life that they helped me with. I'm like, oh,
same.
Okay. No problem. I will say, though, I went through a manic phase of my mom always wanted me to, go out more, be happy. I want you to, well, she would say, I want someone to come take care of you and just love on you. I'm like, woman. So I went through a moment of just I'm always a loner, but I would go to concerts. I would just hang out, made new friends. And I met some amazing people in the 6 years since she's been gone. I really have, and I'm still close to them. I would go different places and do different things and just enjoy life. Because my mom she was that person when she was younger, like loving life, all those. I did all that. And then I realized about 3 years after that, I was down again. I'm like, this really isn't me. Like, I'm real, like, let me lay in bed and watch Netflix. I don't want to hang out, so.
Yeah.
What about your experience with the way your dad passed away? What type of trauma do you still carry from that experience? Because that, for what you went through, was really, dramatic. It's a lot. And for you, it was you and your brother there. So it was almost like it could have been all of you. It could have been two. It could have been a lot of things. And carrying the weight of, we were the last ones with him. And to tell your other siblings, your sisters and your mom and family, and not having those answers, how has that been for you?
Boy, you had a lot of questions in there.
I know.
To go to the first part of what I still carry with me today, I've let go a lot of my survivor's guilt, but It's definitely something that still comes knocking at times.
Mm.
Therapy didn't help. I wanted it to, it didn't. I struggled in the early years with a lot of irrational rage. I
Oh,
would
really?
mhm, of anger, like, I was just so angry and I couldn't figure out why I was angry, and, it took, like, a breakdown in El Toro's, with my mom and my siblings for me to
Oh.
realize how much survivor's guilt I was carrying and how much that was affecting my day to day because I thought I was enjoying life, but in actuality, I was angry and I was bitter and I was holding on to so much. And I let certain people get under my skin, people who made comments the night of our accident of why didn't you get him out? Why did you live and not him? Like, why are you alive? Like, irrational, intoxicated comments, but still comments that I carried for years.
Mhm.
But my survivor guilt is better. My night terrors have gotten a little bit better. My
Mhm.
husband's probably really glad about that. For
Bless
the first
him.
I know, for the first few years of my our marriage, I just woke up screaming and thrashing and trying to claw my way out of a watery hell. So, those are still things that come into my life when I am not doing the right self-care, when I'm not making sure my anxiety is in a good place, those sort of things. But, you asked a couple other things too. I don't think I answered them all there.
You
But
answered them.
well, to also say though, my family and I have come a very long way. I'm the oldest of four. And you're right, the accident could have very easily been half of us gone. A family of six, the Galloway tribe, the one that everyone knows and loves, that shows up to every single ball game together, every single UIL spelling match, academic decathlon, softball, FFA, football, all of us six together. It could have easily been cut in half that day. And my I told my mom when I showed up to the hospital hours after Cody, because he got sent off on a Coast Guard boat before they could get me out.
Mhm.
And when I got there, I told her, I said I couldn't find him. I tried, but I couldn't find him. And she was like, "It's okay. They'll find him. It'll be all right." And then 10 o'clock, midnight came around, and there were no answers. They called off the search. There was nothing more they were going to do. The hospital was shutting down visitors. They'd already capped my two-person limit to like 18. There was a lot of us in that hospital room. But my sisters were home for the summer. They were home at home. They were 15 and 16, I believe. And they got a text from one of their friends. "I'm so sorry about what happened."
Oh my gosh.
Because national news and everything else had picked it up before my mom or my sisters knew. So my sisters didn't know what was going on, and all these messages started coming in about the accident. "We're so sorry." So they went next door and they were like, "What's happening?" Like, to our neighbors. And they were like, "Sweeties, come in, sit down, sit down. We have to tell you this." And, by that time, my mom had gotten on the phone, with the authorities and everything. And so she was rushing to the hospital because Cody was on his way there. My grandparents were rushing into town to be with my sisters, and my neighbors, bless their heart, were taking care of them in the process. But
Mm.
we've we've never really, I mean, we've talked about it. We've laid out, where we're at, because Cody, I shouldn't have been stuck in the boat, but for some reason, when we were trying to crawl out the windows, he got out, our deckhand got out, and I was trying, and something hit me in the face. So I fell back in, and then the boat rolled, and I was trapped. And I mean, it's a 36-ton shrimp boat. Nothing's really going to keep it from not rolling any further down into the channel. But we've all said our piece. We said what happened that day to us, and then we don't talk about it. We've never brought it up really after we all had our say. This is what the day was with us. This is what it was like for Cody. They already knew what it was like for me because people asked me so many times that I became completely desynthesized to the story, and I could say it frontwards and backwards without any emotion at that point, you know.
Mhm.
Oh, so and so wants you to talk to their news station. So and so wants to hear this. So and you know, they want to do an article here. And after the first like 3 or 4 months, it became nothing more than the same story that I told over and over again. So it took some time for me to come to grips with what I went through, how
Mhm.
horrible it was, and how I had to get my anxiety that came from it under control, because I couldn't drive in storms. I couldn't I couldn't function if it was raining, you know, the flashbacks, all of it. So, yeah, I had to do a bunch of little things on my own to try and get it under control.
So let me ask you, have you had a moment to sit in your own grief?
I started taking that like 6 months after the accident. It really took me some time before I was like, "You know what? I'm going to take care of this." I was in a really toxic relationship that was just screwing with my head, and I finally was like, no, I'm done. And I took some time. I continue to have a wonderful group of friends who have been by my side since elementary school. 4 girls that I'm so blessed to call my BFFs, and it took different moments with each of them having those mental breakdowns, having those, I can't believe this actually happened. I can't believe this is where I am now. And then just having that encouragement from that moment on from each of them and my family. And when I say my family, my siblings and my mom, my grandparents, my aunt and uncles, of really just, you're going to get through this. We're going to do it together, whatever you need. And knowing that, like, when I call them at 2 a.m. from a nightmare saying, I don't know how I can keep going, that they're going to answer the phone. And even though it's uncomfortable and they literally have no way of helping me, that they're going
Mhm.
to stay on the phone until I can either cry myself to sleep or get up and start my day. So,
Right. Yeah, I
and I
have
just,
friends like that.
yeah, like it hits you sometimes. And I've really taken, you know, those moments to go before we sold the shrimp boat, to just go be there, you know, in the cabin again and see where I was, where my dad was. Took my husband there, you know. It was like, this used to be my safe haven. This was my place to get away. This is where I read books. This is, you know, this is where I learned so much about life, right here next to my dad. He may have been yelling at me about how I had no common sense, but but he was teaching me every step of the
Right,
way, you
right.
know? So,
So where have you made a new safe haven? Where do you go now? What do you do to find that safety that you found in the boat and in those experiences? What do you do now?
I don't think I have one thing. Um, I used to I used to try and go and get out in nature because it made me feel close to my dad. We always went hunting or fishing together, you know. So getting out there would be that place where I felt connected. But I think I've turned a lot more inward, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Journaling has been a big part of my life, not here recently, but for a lot of years, I journaled every day. Um, and recently, though, I've been doing a lot more jogging and running and just taking that deliberate time to check my heart, see where I'm at, and see what I'm needing, and then making sure I make the time for what I'm saying, what I'm telling myself I need. So,
Right, right. So it's been 6 years.
mhm.
What can you see in yourself before and now? I mean, you're only 19, so I mean, you were young,
I was, yeah.
but well, when you think about it, how has it shaped you for your now experiences, for for with friendships now, work, marriage, how you gain friendship, how you interact with people, because you were in the public eye for so long and
Mhm.
you had to do, and I know during that time you and your dad were lobbying for 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 that profession to have better pay and all. I'm not sure if I'm saying it
Did
all
you
right.
do research on me? How did
This
you
is
know
what I
this?
do.
How did you know this?
Respect what
Oh
I
my God.
do.
I
So,
don't talk to very many people about that. Oh my
no, I mean,
God.
you've had to grow up pretty quickly.
Mhm.
You tragedy happened, but work still had to be done. And I
Yeah.
work with you every day, and I see a drive in you that's a little like intimidating. Like, oh, I
Oh,
can't keep up.
oh,
Like,
okay.
oh my
Oh.
God. Like, let me get this done. So Sabrina, ugh. I did not want you waiting for me to get anything finished. Like, let
I
me go
know
ahead
you're
and get,
always like, "Stop, I'll
oh,
do it.
let
I'll
me
do
do
it."
it. Let me do it. But have you always been that driven, or can you
No, I will.
pinpoint that that
Mm-mm.
was what probably brought you to who you are right now?
So, I think, ooh, I think, what drives me a lot now is, oh
Mhm,
God, I didn't think I was gonna cry tonight. The summer before my accident,
mhm.
my dad and a lot of the other commercial shrimpers in Galveston Bay were working to get some of the laws about shrimping updated because they hadn't been updated since the early 1980s. So it was about time. The other ones hadn't been updated since the 60s, so it was really time. And my dad was always so proud that I was quote unquote book smart. He's like, you can always find the answer. You might not have any common sense, but you can find the answer. And mind you, I say that with love. He loves
Right,
me
right.
dearly, but he called me out on my faults. And he's
Mhm.
right. I lack common sense. But we were working, he was working so hard. They were meeting. I mean, you're talking about a group of men, and I'm going to totally stereotype them, who most of them barely had a high school education. They had nothing past that. They were laborers from 2, 3 a.m. in the morning till 10, 11 o'clock at night. They worked outside. They were hard. They were hardy. They were men's men. There was a
Yeah.
few women out there. I was the only girl on the north side though. So my dad, they were in August, August 20th. They were having a like congressional hearing type thing where we could go before like Texas Parks and Wildlife and like elected leaders and present our cases on why they needed to be updated. And my dad, I came home from college with a whopping 2.6 GPA. Um, just totally defeated, like, oh God, college isn't for me. Like I cannot make it work.
Mhm.
I felt defeated. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I was lazy. And I just had no drive at that point because I beat myself is what I decided that I wasn't good enough. And so that summer my dad would come home from work, when I wasn't out helping him and be like, Brina, did you get that research done that I needed, on those college websites? Did you find that research
Oh, yeah,
about those regulations so I can quote it in my speech? And I was
yeah.
like, no, Dad, I didn't have time. What have you been doing all day, baby girl? What are you doing all day? And I was like, oh, I'll get to it tomorrow. I was super busy watching TV or reading a book.
Right.
Like I literally was
Absolutely
doing
nothing you
nothing,
were doing. Yeah.
nothing with my life. And one day he just had this gigantic, like, wiggy fit about how I was acting lazy. I wasn't, getting my life together. He'd asked me all summer for this information. He had no idea where to look. He works all day. And, I just asked for these simple documents. And so I was like, oh God, okay, if you think I'm lazy, like I'll get it done for you. And I did. And then we started BigNet a couple days later. And, I had written a couple drafts of like what I would say and how I would, present this. And I had all of the documents set up so that we could just give them this nice, pretty package and be like, look, like, here's the data. You guys have not updated it. We have like a tiny, like 1 or 2% of the number of shrimpers we used to have back then. And, like the laws are more restrictive and that sort of thing. So we did all of that. And then our boat accident happened on the 18th. 2 days before that was supposed to go to the group. And I Got out of the hospital on the 19th, and I was just so devastated that I couldn't be there, and my dad couldn't be there after all that hard work. And he had tried so hard to make a difference, not only for himself, but for everyone else, you know?
Mhm.
Because not everybody else has a college-aged daughter who could pull up all those reports, and they were really gonna change something this time with those
Use those
reports
book smarts, use those
those
college
books.
books.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I had put it off for so long, and I found out later that evening when I got home that my dad had actually dictated his speech to my mom the day of the accident.
Oh.
And so, our good friend John Boy read my dad's speech on behalf of my dad, that Wednesday. And I didn't find that out till much later. And that's when I was like, I've got to get my life together. I've got to have a driving force to do something. And I need to decide what I want to do with my life. And right then and there, I wanted to help people the same way my dad was trying to. And
Oh.
I mean, I went into education thinking, all right, I'm a female, I'm good with kids, like that's what I'll do, you know. And I liked it. I was good at it. Like, I mean, I would make a great teacher, but it wasn't as fulfilling as local government work. And so when that came up, I just switched my whole view to, all right, local government, let's see what I can do to make a difference in not only, you know, our community's lives now, but in 5 years, 10 years, how will these decisions we make now affect what our community will look like then? So that's where my drive comes from, and my motivation, because that summer I did not have it. And then I lost that one person who was working so hard to change things for other people. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do too.
Well,
I don't
so
think I've ever said that out loud.
well, that's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for bringing it out of me. I don't think I've ever even verbalized it before.
I mean, I'm kinda good at what I do.
You are. You
No,
are.
but, it makes sense. Now everything makes sense, and I think it's important for people to know each other's story to have a good understanding. I think a lot of times when we don't share and we don't have to share everything, you know, I'm very private about things, but when people understand, it brings a clarity like, okay. It brings a respect. It brings a type of, you know what, let me not pill around like with your dad wanting to make those changes and you understanding the importance of it. Um, you have to make those changes. And you knew that if my dad, with his limited, wanted to make a big change for everyone, how
Yeah.
dare I squander it away on it? And let me get my life together. And I think every day that you come to work and everything that you do for us in our city now even makes more sense because you know it's going to help. The smallest thing is going to help someone. The biggest thing, and you have the ability and the stamina to play the long game because you know it's not you can't do it quickly. You know, you have to put in
Right.
the work and do certain things to get it done.
Mhm. My dad had worked for years, and they had come together and talked about
Mhm.
making changes, like, the shrimpers got together at the docks and talked about it, met at people's houses, you know, traveled down south to meet, you know, shrimpers from down Matagorda Bay, that direction, but there was just something different about that summer. My dad was like, "You know what? We might actually make it if you can just get this one little thing," and
Oh,
yeah, it's just those little things over time, you know, can really make a difference. And those laws did get changed, by the way. They
good.
did. Yeah, they did. I don't keep up with too many of our shrimping compadres very often, but when I do, I hear they're doing good.
Well,
So
that's amazing, and you can at least say, and it may not even help, but it'll the beautiful thing about it is with him, your dad being gone, and the manner doing something that he loves, and he was fighting for a better way of life for everyone. Now we can say what he was fighting for, because it's going to happen in a few days, the changes have been made. And very
Mhm.
few of us can say that the work that we're doing, I see the benefit, I see what I've done. And you can say, well, he's not here, but his speech was read. He was
Mhm.
prepared. He was ready. You helped him get it together, even though you're being a teenager about it for the longest. You know
I
what I mean?
was.
You know,
Gosh,
but you got
yes.
it done, and they have a better way of life. So it was not in vain, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Super hard lesson, but,
Oh no,
definitely my
gosh.
motivation now. So,
When you lose someone that close to you, the lessons that you learn and you recognize and you realize, for me, someone asked me something, I can't remember, and I said that and I always say it. They asked me what makes me keep going or doing what I do, and I said my mom prayed for me way too hard
mm,
before I got here.
yep,
And every day I left the house or every day I walked into a building, she was praying for me. So how dare I squander away those prayers?
yeah.
I know how my mom prayed for her children. I know it.
Mhm.
I felt it. I know the love she had for us. And it's hard for me to even say it in past tense. I still I still
I
do when she's
I get
present.
it. I get
I
the
don't
tense is messed up, yeah.
I don't like saying it in the past tense because it really makes me feel like she's gone, and to me she's really not, if that makes any sense. But I know that she prayed way too hard for me just to curl up in a ball,
Yeah.
and that wasn't her. Anyone
Mhm.
who knew my mom would tell you, "Oh, that's not her. That's not
Yeah.
Gigi. No, mm-mm. I
That's not
can't.
who she raised you to be. Yeah,
No, it
yeah.
wasn't, and it isn't." And I think I've really come into the woman I am and who I need to be more and more so now. You know what I mean? Now that I'm walking in years of life that I know she walked. My mom had me in her late 30s, and I'm like, once I hit the age where she had me, it's been a different feel.
Mm,
It's been a different feel, and I'm walking in years of life where she was walking into. And the closer I get to the age where she passed away, I'm walking into that and thinking
yeah.
about what life did she live when I was running around probably giving her hell or whatever at this age, and how things were and what she wanted from me and the differences in the life, you know, that she led then and now, and opportunities. So I try really hard to walk in a way of to make her proud. My biggest thing was
Mhm.
don't disappoint me. Like I didn't want to disappoint her. And then I
Right.
think of, my nieces and nephews and just my family, not disappointing them, because we all received the same prayers. We all had the same love and experience when it comes to you knew she wanted the best for us. So I have to use that. My mom would do the same thing. You go into school, go to the library, open a book. What do they tell you? What do you need to do? I need to make sure I excel. And it's not about achievements, but I need to make sure everything I do has a purpose.
Mhm.
There needs to be a
Isn't that
purpose.
your one word? Isn't your
Yeah,
one word?
purposeful.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Wow. Look at you
I
bringing it
know.
in, I love that. I
But
love it.
because clearly the first word I picked, our boss didn't like it. Like, nope, that's not you. I'm like, whatever. You don't know me. You don't
It
know me.
might be me.
It might be me. But I realized, because everything she did had a purpose. Everything
Mhm.
our mom did had a purpose. When she
Yeah.
gave somebody words of wisdom, it was with purpose and love and
Mhm.
knowledge and wisdom. So I try to really make sure I walk in my purpose, and I'm still trying to figure it out all the time. But
Yeah.
same as you,
Same.
I need to make sure that I do not disappoint, and the things that she could not do, I have to do.
I just wanna say how beautiful it was that you said that like, the way you're going about, like, what was your mom doing at this time,
Mhm.
like, age-wise, like, I've never once thought about what my dad was doing at 26 or anything. I'm honestly shrimping and taking care of little ones. But I love that you're reflecting on that and you're thinking of your situation and where you're going moving forward and
Mhm.
how, I mean, it sounds a lot like you're kind of being your mom a little bit there.
Well, she had the kids. I have 0.
Well,
Um,
no, but like with your being like you're doing everything with purpose, you know?
mhm.
Like you said, she does everything with purpose, and
There's a
you're
lot of things
saying
that we
that I
actually wanted to do that she couldn't do. My mom, I think my brother said she wanted to be a nurse. I think she wanted to be a nurse and things that she wanted to do that
interesting.
she didn't. But it's like for all of us, it's like we need to accomplish. We have to. And my mom was never one. She was like, I want you to be happy. I want you to, do more than me, be better than
Mm.
me, accomplish more than me.
My dad
Yeah.
used to say the same thing, except there's no there's no future in shrimping, baby girl, so you have to get a college education, and your mama and I can't pay for it. All the time.
I
You
love
can't
it.
you can't look to this. You gotta do something more, and your mom and I can't pay for it, so find scholarships. Always.
That's
Oh,
sweet.
man,
That's sweet.
yeah.
I do want to say thank you though for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This was fun. A little emotional, and I probably am going to have a vulnerability hangover, but,
I'm going to be when I hit and record. I'm going to have a moment. I did not realize how emotional I would be on this daggum talking to you. I'm mad. I'm so mad at you right now. I'm so mad at you. Do not talk to me in the morning. I don't want to see
we
your
don't
face.
even act like this happened.
It
We're
did
just
not
gonna go about
happen.
our days. We're gonna
It's
show up
like
for our podcast in
podcast
the
walking
afternoon.
day. Like, don't look at me. It didn't happen.
No, really, Arlene, thanks for letting me do this. I really thought I was gonna come in here and just talk and it'd be fine, but you really reached all these parts of my heart that haven't been open in a long
I
time.
don't know if I let you talk
Thank
enough. I feel like I rambled on way too much.
Well, this
So
is a conversation, and we had it both ways, and I actually dropped the whole "Did you go to therapy?" question, so I really opened that up.
you did. I was like, yeah, I went to therapy. Stop
Yeah,
going.
I know. I only saw
You have
Cynthia
to
for a little while, but
you have to
I
call
liked
her
her.
back in the morning, like, hey, need to come see you.
About those last 2 sessions.
Have the tissue ready.
Exactly.
I'm having a hard time. I'm always
Oh,
emotional
man.
around this time of year, though. I really am. I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, I mean, I know what's wrong with me, but I'm
You know
always
it. Yeah.
because I remember for me, it's like from like maybe September, August, September. I remember everything like every day. I remember what was going on.
Mhm. Yeah.
Every time we get close to the death, I remember like, okay, this is what we were doing. This is where we were going. This was, whatever. And I remember, and I had a video of my
Mhm.
mom and I watching the Texans game. It was a Texans Dallas game, and Texans were in Dallas.
Oh, boy.
And, and I was playing a video of her fussing at the quarterback.
Mhm.
And she was like, I don't know why he's going to throw the ball. Throw the ball. I'm like, do you know what's happening? No, but he shouldn't be throwing the ball. It's the funniest thing. And I listen
Oh,
to it all the time to hear her voice.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I'm always emotional around this time of year.
I'm gonna ask another personal question. Do
Sure.
you do you do anything on the anniversary of the death? Like,
Okay.
did y'all ever, because
Good.
my siblings and I have never wanted to, but other people have really pushed remembering that day onto us of,
Mm.
"Let's get together, let's have a dinner, let's go out to the boat, let's go out by the water," and I've never wanted to. It's not a day I wanna celebrate or do anything for,
It,
personally.
it's funny you asked that question because that was what I was talking about with my sister. So
Mm,
we did a memorial dinner. I want to say it was the year anniversary. We did dinner. and we'd light a candle because we're Catholic. And we would light a candle, and then one year we put the lanterns in the sky with the
Oh,
lanterns
yeah.
blowing up in
Okay.
the thing. I wanna say that was 2016 is the last
Okay.
time we did anything. So we did things for 2 years. We did a memorial dinner. We used to meet on her birthday dinner and do dinner,
Mhm.
and that's in April. My brother still sends my mom flowers on Mother's Day. He used to do it all
Oh,
the time, and
wow.
my oldest brother, both of them, because I guess they're in competition, like, she's not here, but they both send flowers, and Don my okay, so the oldest brother's in Georgia, and he'll send flowers, and then my other brother, Don, he'll come and bring it and put it by her urn, like, "Yeah, send this to Tony,
Oh.
let him see that mine can actually go in the ground and be planted." I'm like, "I whatever." But we used to do that. We'd have, like, dinner. We'd meet for dinner on her birthday, and we would do something on the day of in October, and I used to take the day off, and then the second oldest brother, Donna, he said, "Hey," and it's funny, we all felt the same way, all of us, my cousin, my brothers, all were like, "Hey, Terry, we can't keep doing this."
Mhm.
And she was like, "Okay, I understand. Like, let us do our own thing." But it was almost like we were trying to make her feel better, you know,
Mm.
and like we all have to deal with it differently. You know what
Right.
I mean? So we said we can't keep doing this, you know, and she finally realized, and we had her and I had some tension for a
Mm.
while after she had accused me of, "You think you're mommy's only child?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm not." But
Right.
I think that's just her way of dealing and
Mhm.
trying to grieve and not being here, having to come in town. Everyone was not here. And
Right.
my brothers, they were talking to mommy every day, all the time. It was different. And,
Mhm.
one brother questioned, like, "I don't understand. He questioned everything. I think he even questioned God at one point. He's like,
Yeah.
"Mama was healthy. She wasn't sick." He would be the one sending my mom like vitamins and,
Mm.
fountain of youth juices. He was the person. And he didn't understand it. Like, "I don't understand. I don't," and I just think it was just, she wasn't sick. It was
Yeah.
sudden,
Mhm.
it was just she was 73.
Right.
And I think a family friend of ours said that they spoke to my mom earlier, and she kept saying, "Oh, I feel nauseated. I just feel sick." For women, when we have heart attacks, it comes upon us differently. It's not the
Yes.
usual left side hold your chest. Like, you can feel nauseated. You can feel like you're nauseous.
Mhm.
And my mom, for months up until then, would say, "I feel like my skin is like falling off my bone." I'm like, "What are you talking? It's wrinkles, woman. What are you talking about?"
What?
But I think her body was just breaking down
Mm.
gradually. And she said, "Oh, my insides feel warm." It's like, "Oh, I just need to probably drink some water," or, so I think she just was gradually breaking down. And my
Yeah.
mom smoked for she quit smoking in 2007, but she smoked from like a teenage years up until then, and quit cold
Okay.
turkey. And I think it was just her time. I don't question. I que- I hold guilt of not getting home sooner because I don't know how long
Mhm.
she was there. I hold guilt on going to the doctor, getting all her tests done. At a certain age, you gotta just go.
Mhm.
And did I not take her enough? Because my mom had a cold, I wanna say a few weeks or so before that, or a month or so before that. And she would take her little medicine, drink her teas, but maybe she didn't eat
Mhm.
properly. It could have been she was not fully healed from the cold. And, when you're older, you don't heal from a cold. It could be, uh, you
It
could have fluid
becomes
buildup,
bigger things, yeah.
a bigger thing. And I'm thinking, should I have taken her to a doctor? Was something going on? I hold that guilt every day.
Mhm.
I still have the appointment thing stuck on the wall where she's gonna go for her regular checkup the next week. I still have all that where they want to run
Mm.
the tabs and like, "This level looks a little high. We'll check it." Like, they had a level, something had seemed high, And they're like, but you should be fine, Miss Mango. You're fine. And we'll just come back and check. Who knows? Because they said it was heart failure, but she was coughing and sneezing, and your body coughing, like you feel like you're
Who
sick.
knows?
That's a lot
Right.
of stress in your body. So I hold the guilt of, did I not take care of her properly? And she wasn't the invalid. My dad's the one who got all the daggum health issues. He's the one who has like had strokes and shit and all kind of stuff. I had
Oh
to
my
go take
gosh.
care of him. But it's like, I always thought, I hate to say it, he would be the one to go first because he has health issues. He's had strokes.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's healthy, he's had those issues. My mom didn't.
Right. Yeah.
So the shock of like, what do you mean she's not here?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was the one always with her. So what did I not do?
It's a lot for you to carry, though.
And no one said that to me, but I carry that. I carry the
Mm-hmm.
fact of, I should have called her one more time that day, even though we spoke throughout the whole entire day. What was different? And it was just like, what did I not do? Why did I not take care of her?
That's a lot to carry. I mean,
I
it's
carry it every
valid.
day.
It's
I carry
valid.
it every day. I do.
Yeah.
I think to myself, I did not take care of her properly.
What do you think it would with no one having said that to you, do you think you'll ever release yourself of that guilt?
No.
No. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I still carry mine too, so
Yeah.
you're not alone.
I guess that's my own trauma,
Mhm.
seeing her and remembering how she felt, what she looked like,
Right.
and lifeless. Who was I talking to? It must have been my sister. And I just blew up one day. I said, you have no idea what I saw though.
Mhm.
And I don't like to do that because everyone, like I said, everyone feels things differently, but you don't know. You know what I mean? So leave me the hell alone, kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I carry that.
That's going to be a part of your story forever. There's
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
that is the part of the new Arlene, 'cause
yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it has to, and I think many things that I'm hesitant to experience is because she's not here. Like, I can't see myself honestly having children with her not being here. I'm old as dirt now, so clearly it's probably not gonna happen. But,
you never know.
if she was around, it probably would be more of a definite, like, oh, well, I'd love to have a child. I love kids. It
Mhm.
hasn't happened. But I think if she was alive, I would love, because I would want my child to experience her. I was just saying, I don't see myself having kids. I don't see myself doing a lot of things. Like, if I ever get married, I'm not having a big wedding at all. She ain't here, so why am I'm not gonna do it, because my mom was a seamstress. I told her, you can't leave me till you make my wedding gown. Like, you can't. You have to make my wedding dress. You
Oh.
made all these other people wedding dresses. All these people have your work, and you can't leave me. And she would laugh. I'm like, well, I'm serious. You can't. Her ass is gone. My dress, and I'm mad about it. So, and it's just hard for me. Like, my dad has no idea I even do podcasting.
I've heard you say that before. Is there a reason why you didn't tell him?
Yeah. I have no idea. I don't know. It's just a difference. My dad and I, that we don't have that relationship, even though he'll probably love it, but he'll never express that. Like, it'll never show. But I'll probably hear him tell somebody, hey, yeah, look at this, and look at the YouTube, and look at, I know he'll enjoy it, because my mom and dad, their dynamic was, she would tell him what's going on with the kids, and that's what they would do. So now she's gone, he talks to me, hey, talk to your brother. Like, yeah, because my dad's real big on family. Like, y'all are siblings, y'all need to talk. If you need some help, call your brother, call your sister. That's how my dad is. You call your brothers, you call your sister, what you need help with. They know that my dad's big on that. So he wants us to keep close. That's because he was close to his siblings. But it's just hard for me to if I meet somebody great, it's like she's not here to meet them because she was my barometer. My mom was a really great reader of character,
Yeah.
and that was my person. So
You
anyway,
wanna know something?
sure.
When you say that about like the barometer thing, so I'm married to Justin now. But the day of
Yeah.
the accident, Justin had texted me and asked me to go to dinner. And I was just like, really? Like Justin from down the road? Like we just stood at the bus stops, for 4 years to go to high
Really?
school. Like, really, Justin? And so I told my dad, I was sitting on the toolbox next to the captain chair, and I was like, Dad, Justin wants to go to dinner. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like watching his debt meter and watching the channel, making sure no ships are coming. And I was like, should I go? Like, should I do that? Like, I was questioning it. And Dad's like, oh, you'll figure it out. And I like looked at him and I was like, no, you're supposed to figure it out. Like, you're supposed to tell me if this is a person I should go out with. And he's like, you'll figure it out, baby girl. You'll figure it out. And he had this weird like smile on his face. And I was like,
Aw.
get back to running the boat. I'm gonna cancel on Justin. And I was like, we'll see. I'll let you know, when we get in from the dock, like that sort of thing. And then a couple hours later, the boat capsized. And I don't want to say that that was a big part of why months after my accident, I mean, Justin and I didn't start dating until the next year. Um, that gave me that little extra oomph when he asked again. It's like, hey, let's go to dinner.
Aw.
And I was like, I don't want to. But my dad said that I'll figure it out. So at least I'll go and try and figure it out. And then here we are all these years later. It's like that I don't know. I never thought I would take such a small conversation and just hold it so near and dear to me all this time later.
That's
Those little
sweet.
things.
You're making me
It's like
cry. I'm not
parents
emotional.
just know.
Oh, that's so
Ugh,
sweet.
I
My
know.
mom was like, I just want you happy and someone that loves you
Mhm.
and I've had relationships, I've been engaged and clearly that didn't work out. Because she would pick them and I'm like, no.
Mm.
Uh but you meet people. So now when I meet someone, I have her in my head, not
Mhm.
like a control thing, more so of being open as she was. 'Cause my mom was so
Mm.
loving and open and people just loved her.
Yeah.
And my mom instilled in me how to recognize good people and how to
Mhm.
see things and look beyond and look with your head and your heart. Use your head, heart, and gut. Like use all of it and trust
Mhm.
it. So I carry with me all of that. And when I meet someone, I think about would you get along with them? I really do. I'm thinking about
Mhm.
would she get along with them?
Yeah.
And it's like if they mess up, they like shit. Easy. I'm glad she ain't here because I would have not wanted. I would hate for her to meet you and then like have to deal with where's so and so. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think
Right.
about those things like how would my mom feel about this person? What would
Mhm.
she get from what energy would she feel? What's the vibe she's getting? And so I do carry that with me a lot. And I ask her all the time. I sit and talk to her. People probably think I'm crazy. I like, hey,
No, it's
I
not
need you to
crazy.
show, I need you to tell me. I
Mhm.
need you to, when I say my prayers in the morning and night, I talk to God and my mom, like, hey, woman, listen. Cause call a woman,
Mhm.
hey, woman, I need you to like, I'm messing up and I'm weak and I need you to
Yep.
help me because I'm not gonna make a
Mhm.
choice right here. Or I need your wisdom because
Imma need you to guide me because
I
'cause I'm
need
not
some
sure what my
guidance.
next.
I
Yep.
don't know what to do, you know.
Yep.
And of course, it's like figure it out, but still, like I need you
I
to.
know.
I need something, please. Tell me something, please.
Mhm.
And so yeah, that's where I'm at.
No, I love it.
I love it. Well, once again,
I'm
thank you.
sorry, I derailed us.
No,
One simple
I love
question.
it. It's great. Listen, I'm here for it. We had some tech issues. I don't know what happened. I'll fix it. But I love it. But I want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey, sharing your grief, sharing your trauma, and sharing who you are and how it has shaped you and made you into the woman that you are, and how Justin, look at that, that's your hubby. Oh
I
my goodness,
know.
he's your hubby. The phone that
Yeah.
got lost in the sea, hash it out. Love story. Like the Notebook or something. Anyway, which I don't never
Oh,
seen it. Anyway.
yeah, that's not something you
I
would enjoy.
Yeah, I don't you
That's
know
not
me,
your
right?
thing. I
I
know you. That is not
I
you.
only know I've seen bits and pieces of it, and the one scene where he's like, "Tell me what you want." I don't know. Tell me what you want. I love that. I think it was a meme or
Yes.
something. The whole thing, a
Yes.
minute conversation. But you know me
Yes.
well. The Notebook is not my jam. Will
Not your
not.
jam. That's okay.
I don't read those books. Give me horror and sci-fi. Give me mystery. Give me gore.
Mhm.
But no, I
Yep.
want to say thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your journey. Uh, I am inspired by you. I am honored to work side by side with you. And just knowing your motivation has amplified my motivation even more. I want to say thank you.
No, thank you. I'm so happy we did this. I really enjoyed learning more about you, and you know, grief and trauma are one of those things that you don't know about it till you know about it, and then it's like,
Ooh,
wow,
you don't know
whoa,
about it
this
till you
is
know about it. Yeah.
yeah, and you think you do, you think you know it, and then when it really happens, you
Yeah.
start meeting those other people where little bits and pieces comes up, and I'm just so glad that you and I were able to have this conversation.
So am I. Thank you so much, Sabrina.